then like to go in with my concealer. So for concealer, Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Lauren, long time no see. It really hasn't been that long, it's only been about a week. But for me that's a long time because I'm usually one who posts at least twice a week, if not 4. So it just feels like it's been a long time, but it really hasn't. So I apologize, but it's just been a crazy week. I've had family things going on and social things, you know, it's wedding season, so I really didn't have time to sit down and film. But today I had a minute, so here I am. Hello, how are you? So anyways, today I want to do a slightly different kind of makeup tutorial. I wanted to actually show you my face routine. I know that most of my tutorials are dedicated to the eyeshadow and I usually cut out my foundation routine, so today I just want to dedicate an entire video to how I spackle my face. I know I've talked about in the past that I don't have the best skin ever, and so hopefully this will help some of you out there. No hate to anybody, but I feel like most beauty gurus who do their foundation routine, they already have such beautiful, perfect Botox skin. I mean, no hate to anybody. I'm honestly jealous, you know, I want some Botox. I need to like lift my brows or do something to my forehead. So I'm honestly jealous, but you know, not everybody has Botox, so just because their foundation routine works beautifully for them doesn't mean it's gonna work out great for everybody. So I wanted to just show you my real, you know, foundation routine, what I do to help my skin look as best as possible. And then I also do not have a blur feature on my camera, so this is what you get. Like, this is what it looks like in person. So anyways, if you'd like to see how I spackle my face, keep on watching. Hello. So obviously, this is different. Yeah, so this is just kind of an experiment. I've actually had this background for a while. I bought it forever ago, but I didn't like it at first because, I mean, it's so pretty in person. It's like a really pretty blushy pink color, which is my favorite color of all time. But obviously on this thing, it looks this like weird, like pewtery, like silver color, which is not what it's supposed to be. But anyways, I just decided to play with it today and see if I could make it work because it's just been sitting in a box. It's too pretty for me to get rid of because I keep telling myself, you like, just try something else. I feel like if I got a ring light, because I have 2 soft boxes on each side of me, but I feel like if I had one more light right behind the camera, it would just make everything so much better. So that's my next thing to invest in. But anyways, so we're just gonna work with it today, see if we like it, and yeah, let me know down below if you do. Okay, so before we get into any makeup, we have to talk about skincare because the key to great makeup is a great canvas, and the key to a great canvas is great skincare. Everyone's skin is different, and therefore not every single foundation routine is going to work for everybody. So before I can tell you everything that I use and what works for me, I need to tell you kind of a little bit of background about my skin so that you will know whether or not this will work for you if you have similar skin or if you have complete opposite skin. So my skin, I have very, very, very sensitive acne prone skin, and the current state that it's in is pretty good right now actually. I'm currently transitioning from my dry, horrible winter skin to my more combo, moisturized, you know, somewhat normal skin. So over the winter, my skin was so dry and dehydrated, it was almost painful. Like, my makeup just looked awful all the time. I had a lot of texture, a lot of bumps, and it just looked terrible. And you know, makeup is great. It can cover color, it can cover redness, it can cover acne, but it cannot cover up texture. If anything, it emphasizes it. So my makeup just looked terrible all winter for the most part. But now, like I said, now that the weather is getting warmer, my skin is transitioning into a more combo state. So I do get a little bit of oil around my nose and like my T-zone area, but my cheeks and everything stay pretty normal. They don't really get too oily. As far as my pores go, I don't really have huge pores, luckily. I mean, they're not small, they're there, they're visible, but they're not huge. And then, like I said, I mean, it could be better. Obviously, it's not picture perfect clear skin, but that is where we're at right now. So what I do to prep my skin for my makeup, you should always, you know, clean your face right before you put on makeup, because if you're putting makeup, if you've like washed your face in the morning and now it's like several hours later in the afternoon and you're trying to put on makeup, you already have a lot of dirt and oil on your face, and so your makeup's just not gonna sit well. So even if you haven't done anything and put on any makeup within a few hours, like, you should probably still cleanse your face, and I promise that your makeup will sit a lot better. So for my face, I just use a Dove Beauty Bar to clean it. I've spent years and years and years looking for the perfect cleanser because I was always drawn to like acne cleansers and like medicated cleansers, but I found that what works best for me is just a simple Dove Beauty Bar. It is very, very moisturizing, and it doesn't strip my face of all the natural oils that it needs. Then for a moisturizer, because you should always moisturize right after you cleanse, like I said, I have very sensitive acne prone skin, and so I've found that a lot of your typical cream moisturizers will really break me out and clog my pores. It's very hard for me to find one that works for me. And then I also feel like they tend to be pretty oily and make my makeup kind of slide around a bit. So I prefer a gel moisturizer personally because it does not clog my pores as much, and I find that my makeup sits a lot better on top of a gel moisturizer because they are less oily. A lot of them are pretty expensive. I know a lot of people love the Clinique Moisture Surge. That one's amazing, but it's pretty up there in price. And then even the Neutrogena Hydro Boost, which is a drugstore option, is still about $20. I think it's like 18, 19, but that's still pretty pricey for a drugstore option. So what I've been using is just simple aloe vera gel. It's been working out great for me. It's relatively inexpensive. It's about $4 from Target for a very big bottle. You know, that's all I've been using, and it's worked out great. I feel like I've noticed a difference in my skin too. Aloe vera has great antibacterial properties, and it just really is great for your skin. It's very soothing, and it can help reduce redness, especially if you have sunburns. It can help with that, and then it also helps with acne scars too. So I just have found that it really has improved my skin, and then my makeup also sits great on top of it. I've found that I've had better makeup days since using this. Like I said, $4 from Target. You can get it anywhere. So I've already cleansed my face, and I have applied my aloe vera. I then primed. So I've said in the past that I'm not really a big primer person because I couldn't find one that I liked. I felt like a lot of them really clogged my pores and just did weird things or didn't really make any sort of difference to me in my makeup. So what I've been using lately, I finally found one that I really like, and that is the NYX Honey Do Me Up. This primer is great. This retails for $14.39 at Target or $16.99 at Ulta, but keep in mind that Ulta almost always has a sale going on NYX makeup, whether it's buy one get one free, buy one get one 50% off. They usually have something going on, so that is something to keep in mind. So not only is this a primer, but it's also actually a serum, so it has a lot of good ingredients in it for your skin, and this primer just overall helps with discoloration and redness, and it just gives you an all-day dewy radiant glow, and it also has collagen in it, which is really great. And it's also a gel, which like I said, gels for me just really help to not clog my pores. It really helps my makeup to sit better, and I just have better luck with gels than that silicone based, you know, stuff or like a cream. And so I really like this. I think it's worth the price. My only complaint is that it doesn't have a pump. It has this weird like thing in it, and I just wish it had a pump, but it might not have come out of a pump very well because, as you can see, it's very kind of sticky. It's not sticky like honey. It's not like you're like rubbing honey all over your face. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just, you know, a little more sticky than your typical gel. But anyways, I really like it, and I totally recommend it if you are looking for something that does not clog your pores, doesn't break you out, and just really gives you a great base for your makeup. So what I do is I just take this and I just take a little bit, and I have clean hands, and I just put it on my hands, and then I rub it together, and I just apply it to my face. It does have some gold flecks in it, but I don't find that those make any sort of a difference. So it just leaves your skin feeling just very dewy and fresh and moisturized, and I really like it. It also dries pretty nicely. So they recommend that you apply it to a clean face and then wait 2 to 5 minutes before applying more makeup on top. So that's what I do, and that's what I really do with any sort of primer that I ever use. I find that it works best if you wait for it to kind of really melt into your skin and set a minute before going straight into your foundation. For our foundation, I have really been liking the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. I really feel like whatever look you're going for, whether you want to sheer it out or build it up, it's really a good foundation for that. I also really like the It CC cream for my no makeup days, and I also tend to mix a pump or two of this with whatever foundation I'm using because it's just so moisturizing, and it has SPF 50, and this particular SPF does not break me out because it's a different type of sunscreen than most sunscreens that they use in foundations. It used to be all about that matte look, but lately I've just been into more of a dewy glow, especially as I get a little older. I just don't really want to emphasize any texture that I don't want people to see, and I just feel like matte makeup is really aging. But with that being said, a lot of dewy finish drugstore foundations all have SPF M, and I'm very sensitive to SPF, and I can't use certain kinds. Like I said, I can, like the It CC cream, this doesn't bother me because the kind of sunscreen in it, they use titanium dioxide and then zinc oxide, and my skin doesn't react to that. But all the SPFs in like drugstore foundations, I always get some sort of rash or breakout, and almost all dewy foundations from the drugstore have SPF in them. So if you have a favorite drugstore dewy foundation that does not have SPF in it, let me know in the comments down below. So for this video, I'm going to be mixing this guy with this guy. So for applying, I used to be a sponge only, like beauty blender type of girl, but I really never found a brush that I really liked. But lately I've really been into this brush from It. It is the Heavenly Skin Smoothing Complexion brush. It is the number 704, and it's just this kind of angled flat top brush, and it just really gives me the prettiest finish with my makeup. I really love it. And then I can't talk, I need water. And then I'll go back in with a beauty sponge. I also really like the Complexion Perfection Foundation Globe. This is also from It, and I like this for on days where I just am in a hurry and need to go fast. This really helps like move the product quickly and makes me finish my makeup pretty fast. So today though, I'm going to be using this flat top brush, and then I am also going to be going in with my beauty sponge. Fair warning, like don't give this to a dog because I was babysitting my family puppy and she got a hold of it. So that's nice, don't worry, I did wash it. So what I do is I will take this, and my only complaint with this guy is that once again, no pump, but I just take it and I place it on the back of my hand. So I'm in the shade Soft Ivory technically, but I meant to pick up Soft Ivory. I thought that's what it was. It was in the Soft Ivory thing, but this is Porcelain. So it is a little more light and pink for me. I have a more yellow to neutral skin tone, but I make it work. And then I'm going to take, once I have that on the back of my hand, I'm going to take my CC cream, and this is in the shade Light, and I just put a pump or two on my hand. So I have my little, you know, cocktail going on, and then I just mix it with my brush. So once I've done that, then I'm just going to apply it to my face. And I just go in circular motions. Like so. Make sure you bring it down your neck. With the Wet n Wild one, I find that whenever I use a brush, I really get the best coverage possible, whereas if I use a sponge, I get more of a sheer coverage. So depending on what coverage you're looking for, that might determine what kind of tools you use. But that's really the same way with any foundation. If you're using a beauty sponge and if you feel like you're not getting the best coverage possible or the coverage that you want, try using a brush. So I always go over my lips. It's just kind of a habit. I don't know why. I don't know why I feel the need to cancel out my lip color. I don't know. I feel like for some reason my lipstick stays on better whenever I cover my lips. It's probably just like something weird and in my head. I don't know, but it's what I do. So on this side is where I get most of my breakouts. So I tend to put a little more product on this side than I do on the other. And as you notice, I am doing foundation first. I used to be one to spot conceal first, but I've noticed that you don't always need concealer once you put your foundation on. So I recommend putting on your foundation first and then concealing. I know a lot of people do that nowadays anyway, but that's just a little tip for you. So typically I will do my eyes first, but if I for some reason decide to do face first, I always make sure that I cover my lids. And then another thing that you should always make sure you do is to get into the creases of your nose. So make sure you do that. So once you get everything covered, you know, make sure you get into your hairline. Make sure you get your ears, because sometimes you can get a weird line if you don't. And like I said, make sure you bring it down your neck. Always bring it down your neck. And if your foundation really doesn't match, bring it down to your chest. So once I've done that, I then like to go in with my concealer. So for concealer, I like to use the Tarte Shape Tape, and I use it in the shade Light Sand. I feel really basic whenever I use this, but I honestly have never found a concealer that works for me as well as this one does. So I apply it, I do little triangles under my eyes, like that, and then I will go down my nose. I usually do a little crosshatch thing right there, and right there. Now, I know a lot of people were like, you don't need all that, but you know, I feel like this is where I need to cover more, and so that's why I do it. And then I will always, you know, do my little spot concealing here and there. And then is whenever I go in with my beauty sponge. This is the Morphe one. I really like this one. I think it retails for about $7. I really like the feel of it. And the finish that it gives my makeup. I've used both the name brand Beauty Blender and the Real Techniques one in the past. I love the name brand, but they just don't last very long. I mean, they do if you take care of them and constantly washing them, but overall, they just don't last very long, and so $20 every few months for me is just a little much. And then the Real Techniques one I did like, and it is cheaper, but I felt like they fell apart more easily. So I really like this one. Besides my dog biting into it, it's really held up for me so far. So what I like to do is I then just go in and blend out that concealer, and I make sure to really kind of disperse it out onto my cheekbones. And then while I'm blending this, I'm also kind of going over my foundation too, and just helping to blend that out even more and pressing it into the skin. So my under eyes will tend to wrinkle. I notice that especially if I haven't drank any water during the day, my under eyes will get really bad. So if you ever feel like you are having a day where your makeup is sitting weird, just think of how much water you've drank in that day, because sometimes that really can make the difference. I can really tell a difference in my skin, and especially my under eyes whenever I'm putting on makeup, if I haven't drank enough water. So there's a little tip for you. Best way to hydrate your skin is from the inside out. You know, moisturizers are great, but if you're not drinking enough water, then you're really gonna notice a difference in your skin, especially those under eyes. So if you, like I said, if your under eyes are creasing really bad, try drinking a little more water. It sounds so silly and simple, but it's true. So I will really honestly do this for a very, very, very long time. I pretty much do this until the concealer is almost dry. I'm really just pressing it into my skin and making it join with the foundation and just really melt. Another tip is that if you ever find that your concealer is creasing really, really bad and just really not melting into your foundation, or if it's doing weird things, look at the ingredients, because if you are using like an oil-based foundation and a water-based concealer, water and oil don't mix, so that could be why you're having issues. So always check the ingredients of what you're using, and yeah, make sure you get those lids too. This is how I prep my lids nowadays as well. I used to really be into a primer potion, or the Urban Decay primer potion, or just kind of an eye primer, but for me lately, just using foundation and concealer has really, you know, been working. By the way, I am using a damp sponge. I find that this really just helps blend it out. You can use them dry sometimes, you know, if you're in a pinch and don't really have time to get it wet. You can use them dry, you'll get more of a full coverage that way too, but I feel that I get the best finish overall whenever I dampen it. Like I said, we just kind of keep pressing it in. I also like to get into my nose, into those creases. So for powder, I'm going to be using the Coty Airspun. I really, really like this powder. For a very long time, I really liked the Ben Nye translucent powder, but I've been liking this one lately, so I use the translucent one. You can get this from Walmart. It is a little over $5, but you get a very large thing of it. It is 2.3 ounces or 65 grams, so that's a lot of powder. So I just keep doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this. And then while I'm still doing this, and while I'm looking down, I will take my powder really quickly, not a whole lot, and then press it into my skin, and then I continue doing this. So I don't really bake in the way that most people do. I just kind of press that powder in and just really set that. I find that whenever I bake personally, my under eyes will just suck up that powder, and then I just look really terrible and very, very wrinkly, and it just is not a good look. So this is how I set my under eyes, and so if you have a similar problem, I would maybe try it doing this. So then I turn my sponge over to the side without any powder on it, and then I continue pressing this in, and then I will go in again and take my powder and press it in. By doing this method, it will help you to not set a crease, and it just really works nicely for me. Then if they still feel a little tacky, I will go in and pick up a little more powder and just kind of press it under there, like so. And then I like to do the same thing to my forehead. I'm just using that same damp sponge. I do it to my smile lines. I'm picking up powder. I really press it into the creases of my nose. And then I place it on my chin. Anywhere that I get oily is where I'm placing this. And then of course, on my eyelids as well. So then for the rest of my face, I really like the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Illumination Powder. This is just a very nice illuminating powder, but it doesn't have too much sparkle in it. So I will like to set this with the Complexion Perfection Foundation Globe, and I just take a little bit of it, and I just set the rest of my face with this. once you have the rest of your face set, we can then move on to, you know, color. So once you have on your foundation on, you will notice that your face is just very flat. So now is when you want to bring in a little more color and warmth and glow to your face. So I am personally not a big contour person. It's taken me a long time to accept my face the way it is, you know, especially my nose, and I just really like how it is now. You know, this is the nose that I have, and I like it. I like how it looks, and I don't want to change it, so I don't. And then I also have pretty high cheekbones, and a pretty defined jaw, so I really don't need it in my personal opinion. So I just usually bronze. And so the bronzer I'm using today is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. This is my absolute favorite bronzer of all time, and I was actually at TJ Maxx the other day and they had a bunch of these there for $12, and that is because they have recently redone the packaging, and so it's literally the exact same product. It was just discounted because they changed the packaging. So this retails for $30 at Ulta, but I got it for a third of the price basically. So I use the one in medium deep, and it's just this very, very pretty matte bronzer, and I really like it. And it does smell like chocolate, but I don't find that it's too overwhelming on the face. So I just like to take a big fluffy brush and just lightly brush it. If you were to suck in, that's where I put it. So I find that if I do kind of a circular motion, that's how I get the best diffused color. Another tip, make sure that you set your foundation where you're placing this, otherwise you're gonna get a really, really weird, dark, splotchy color that is very hard to blend. Once you get that all nice and blended, some people like to put it on their temples too, but I don't really find that too necessary all the time. I sometimes put a little bit there. Next, I like to move on to blush. I'm a big blush person. I just really like that nice flush on the cheek. It just makes you look a lot more young and alive, and it just really gives you a lot of color. So I really, really like the BH Cosmetics Nude Blush Palette. For me, it has any kind of blush I would ever want. I'm not a huge pinky blush person. I like more of a nude natural blush, so I really like these up top. So I just take that on a blush brush. This is the one from Colourpop. And I'm going to take a little bit of this light pink guy right here with this one, and then a little bit of this peach one. So a little bit of a mixture. I might even take a little bit of that guy too. So like I said, I have pretty high cheekbones. So for me, I just put it right on the apples of my cheeks. Once again, why can't I say that word? Circular motions. And then I just bring it back into my hairline. And once again, just really blend that nicely. A lot of people will spend a lot of time on their eyes, you know, blending those eyes, and then will neglect their blush and bronzer. And so you really want to spend as much time on that as you do on the rest of your face. So last but not least is highlight. I'm going to be using this palette, which is by Morphe. This is one of their original palettes. It was a collaboration with someone, and I cannot think of their name right now, but you know, this is not one of the new ones. So I like to take the lightest shade right here, and I personally like a fan brush, and this is the Morphe M310. And so I will take it, and honestly, I used to not be the biggest fan of highlight because it really, really emphasized my texture. So if you have very textured skin, you know, a lot of pores, keep in mind that this is going to emphasize that. So if you don't want that to happen, then maybe don't use highlight. And that there's nothing wrong with that. I know highlight is very popular right now, and everyone's like, you have to highlight. But honestly, you don't have to highlight. So anyways, I like to just take a fan brush, and then I will just gently sweep like so right above where I place my blush. So if you were like looking at it, it's kind of like Neapolitan ice cream. So you have your chocolate at the bottom. Then you have your strawberry in the middle, and then your vanilla on top. So I just really make sure I get that blended, and then I will also take a little bit and blend it up above my brow. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Putting it on the brow will really give you that super glowy look. Then once I get it all nice and blended on my cheeks, I really like to put a little bit on my nose. It really just gives you that cute little button nose look. Right above my Cupid's bow. I will put a little bit on my chin. And yeah, that's where I put it. I always put way too much on my nose, so I usually have to go back in and blend it. And then last but not least, to set my face, I'm using the NYX Dewy Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. I really like this one. It does give you a nice dewy glow, but it does help your makeup to stay all night long or all day long or whatever you're doing, so, you know. I always hate spraying my face on camera because I feel like I'm like, meh. Anyways, so I'll let that dry, and I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's about sums it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already, be sure that you hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell. That way you always know whenever I have a new video out. I'd really appreciate it. And if you could also give this video a big thumbs up, I'd really appreciate that too. So yeah, thank you again so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.